Hey, folks, welcome back to the Undisputed Leadership Summit. And this special session today, we have a former NFL player by the name of Marcus Ogden. Welcome to the show, or not the show. I usually run a podcast, so I keep saying show all the time. It's like by default. Welcome to the session, Marcus.
How you doing, Luke? I'm glad to be here, man.
Awesome. It's a pleasure to have you here, especially with your accolades. You came from an NFL background back in the days. You're not playing anymore, are you?
No, I'm retired.
You're retired. And you transitioned into a super entrepreneur. And that's why I wanted you to come here. Because, I mean, it's cool to have athletes on, but they have to have, a leadership mindset or something, to lead a movement or lead a business. So I'm glad to have you here and to speak on a leadership theme.
No, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, when I got out of the NFL, I started a construction company. I was a CEO and founder, grew it to the largest minority construction company in the state of Maryland for 2 years in the area of site work, which is basically earth moving. I ended up going bankrupt in 2013 when I ended up taking on a project and did not calculate a $2 million error, and I had to rectify the error, which I did, and I did not get paid back by the general contractor and developer. And then when I went bankrupt, the NFL helped me move from Baltimore to Carolina, where I'm at currently. And now I am doing public speaking for major corporations. I am doing a speaking academy, which we had our first one this past October. It's sold out. We have the next one come up in Kansas City. We just booked the venue. We just booked where we're going to have what we call the huddle, like a networking event. And we just booked also the AVs. So we're all pretty much set to go for that location. We're already over 100 attendees. We're only going to take about 150. And we'll probably be sold out. I would probably imagine by mid to late March at the latest, I would imagine, with the way we're growing, and then look to do more down the line. The next one's probably gonna be in October in Baltimore.
Okay, I like that. So what's the idea behind this public speaking academy?
It's three facets. Number one, to help anybody in any way with three areas. Number one, improve your communication skills. Number two, help you to build your brand. Number three, help you to learn the art of networking. How to take networking and turn it into revenue. People can say, I go to networking events, I go to this mixer, I go to all this type, B&B, I get all that. We teach you at the academy how to go to a meeting and do networking and turn it into revenue or increasing sales for your business. So those are the three facets. Again, improving your communication skills, helping you build a brand, and helping you learn the art of networking.
And I really like this because I feel like it's it's a business as well as a movement, because you're transitioning a lot of professional athletes into this academy so that they have something to fall back on. I don't like to say fall back on, but something to transition to after their athletics career. So
Yep.
You've had a few major league players, Major League Baseball, NFL, NHL, I believe as well.
Yep.
Here. So I like the way you're leading this movement. Can you give me an idea of how you started this, and how do you persuade these guys that are they're making millions and millions per year, and they only know one thing, and they feel like this money is going to last forever? So how do you persuade these guys to help them change their way of thinking and come on to something like this?
Well, put it like this. I started it because back in the summer of 2016, a lot of guys were contacting me, Marcus, how are you getting this speaking engagement? How is this person supporting your brand as a sponsor, et cetera, et cetera. So I decided, you know what, instead of talking to one guy here that day, one guy the next day, let's have an event where you can tell everybody that wants to come and attend and learn how I've done it. So that was a spark. That was a catalyst. Was basically people asking me all the time, former brotherhood, different sports. Hey, how are you doing this? But then, to answer your next question, everybody has to understand at some point you're going to become an ex-athlete, no matter what it is. Statistics will show you that 70% of NFL players go broke after 2 years. I think basketball is like 70 to 80% as well. National Hockey League has the highest suicide rate of any professional athlete when they retire. So again, if you're cognizant, if you're a smart individual, you want to be able to put money away that you've made on either on the hardwood, on the ice, in the football arena, in the diamond, and let it work for you. And then you can do something so when you're out of your sport, you can start to make money like a regular person does but you're not touching into what you've earned while you were playing. See, what happens is a lot of guys tend to rely on what they're bringing in to play when they're retired, and they have the same spending habits. When you have a same spending habit, but you don't have the same incoming revenue, you have a problem. If you make $10 million a year and then you're spending, $8, that's fine. If you retire and you're not bringing $100,000 and you're spending $8 million a year, still because you're used to that lifestyle, that's how you end up going broke. So what's happening is the league offices are doing a really good job of supporting my initiative. The NFL is bringing player engagement from the NFL league office, a couple of other executives. We've got National Hockey League bringing somebody from the transition board. We have somebody coming from the NBA Players Association. We have somebody coming from Major League Baseball. And they are seeing that what I'm doing as a former athlete that was successful, in the stadium, successful after the stadium, then lost it all, and now I've rebranded myself. When a lot of people lose $2 million, Luke, in 90 days, they don't bounce back. They either commit suicide or they drink themselves to death. A lot of people just don't have the perseverance to bounce back. So not only am I telling you what I've done, I'm living proof that if you're able to persevere and start to think of some other options after your career is over, you can then be successful. So what's happening is the leagues are buying in, not just the players. So this one in Kansas City was going to have, again, league office or league association representation at the academy, which is big for what I'm trying to do. Eventually, I'd love to be a consultant to each league to help their players brand themselves, find what they're good at, but learn the art of public speaking and learn the art of communication. Because at the end of the day, if you were lucky enough to make it to the major leagues or the pros, you have a story that people want to hear. It's just the way it is. Exactly. You got into that top 1% of society. How'd you do it? So again, every professional athlete has a story. You just have to learn how to tell it.
Cool. So I like how you said, you're living proof, and that's a way of, positioning yourself and helping you brand yourself and being able to have people listen to you speak, right? To actually, go through the successes, and then, go down, go back to rock bottom, and then bring it back up, and then teach this to other people. Well, not teach them to go down, but try to help them prevent that part. So your academy, let's walk me through, you have the 3 facets, right? You have the communication, branding, and networking. And right. I believe those are great skills to have as a leader, or if you're learning to build, your business, your team, or whatever right. It is. Communication is key. Branding is key. Networking is key, because if you utilize your network, that could equal your net worth. So if you could walk me through these 3 facets step by step, and tell us a little bit about, give us a little preview.
So, okay, number 1, again, learn the art of communication. If you are an intelligent person in your mind, but you cannot articulate or you cannot communicate verbally what you're trying to say, you will never be successful. People aren't mind readers. They have to understand you. They have to be able to hear you clearly and concisely. Sometimes people, and I used to be the same way when I was an athlete, when I was young, when I was getting started in the business for sure, I was very eager that I had to talk at a high speed to get my message out. And that's actually can be catastrophic. If people can't process what you're saying and don't understand what you're trying to communicate, you're never going to be successful. So we teach you the art of how, voice inflection, tone, body mannerisms, eye contact, learning how to pause. Let people, engage, but don't be over engaging. Things like that. The art of networking, again, talking about how to take networking or take contacts and turn them into cold, hard cash or revenue sales increasing. People spend a lot of time networking and never close a deal. You have to learn how I do it is if I meet somebody, they come to an event or come to the academy or something like that. Let me use LinkedIn. So I'll go on LinkedIn. If somebody hits me up on a connection, I say, thank you for connecting. Boom. If they respond back and say, thank you, Marcus, I see what you're doing, great stuff. I say, well, hey, if you're ever in the art and the meeting to improve, your communication skills, you're looking to brand yourself or increase your sales, give me a call. Somewhere one of the three is going to hit that person. Then that person will hit me back. Well, give me some more information about your academy. Then I'll send them a note with the website, with the cost, with who they're going to be around. And 8 times out of 10, they're going to call me to register. So I've learned the art of how to use LinkedIn in a way that's, again, I drop a quick note, nothing overbearing. And if someone hits me back, which is usually now it's probably about 6 or 7 out of 10 now because of what I've done. In the beginning, it's probably 1 or 2 out of 10. But I've learned how to drop that line and then get them to bite and then go forward. So that's the art of networking. And then branding is just being clear and concise with what you do. You asked me a question at the beginning of the show. What is your gig? My gig is speaking. I have different umbrellas under speaking between academies, public speaking, coaching, podcasts. But my gig is the art of speaking. That's what I do. That's my brand. What is your brand? What is your passion? I don't know. But I know that's what I do to make a living. My brand used to be 10 years ago, a football player, an athlete. That was my brand. Playing in the field, working out in the gym, watching what I eat, going to stadiums, doing appearances on Tuesdays, treatment. That was my brand. I still lift weights now, but not as a paycheck. It's just good to help me look a certain way if I'm going to be doing speaking in the public eye. But that is the question I ask all the time. What is your brand? Can you describe in a mantra, 3 to 5 words, if possible, what it is that you do?
Okay. So let's touch on the focus on branding a little bit. You mentioned that a few years back when you were playing ball, it was that was your brand, and it's a lot of people might be thinking, okay, well, you know what, Marcus has been in the NFL. He's already got he's already on a high pedestal. It's going to be easier for him to close deals and people to message him back on LinkedIn. Let's say we wiped all away the NFL career and you were to start from scratch. How would you build this brand for your speaking gig?
I will tell you the honest to God's truth is actually sometimes, well, it was in the beginning, not so much now because I have the credibility. In the beginning, being an NFL athlete was a detriment to this path.
Really?
Because people don't assume that athletes can communicate well or can do anything well beyond their game, beyond their field, their sport of choice. So actually, it was more of a negative content, content versus it being a positive one, because I was dealing with people saying, "Oh, you're just an athlete. Like, stick to football, stick to coaching, stick to training. That's what you're good at." So the NFL, I honestly didn't start getting a lot of gigs, Luke, until my best-selling book got published in October of 2015. I signed my contract October 27th, 2014. The book was released exactly October 27th, 2015, 1 year to the day later. But again, the NFL was not helpful in my new line of work because I had to fight through the negative stereotypes that athletes can't do anything beyond the game. So my answer to your question is, it's consistency, perseverance, hard work, period. Whatever you want to do for the first 6 months, unless you do it for free, be prepared to hear the word no. I got told no so many times trying to get speaking engagements. "Oh, Marcus, we don't really need your services. Thank you very much. We your topics aren't going to be great for our audience." I mean, I heard it all. The first job I ever got was for NetApp, a Fortune 500 company based out of San Jose. Did a job for them in Chicago at Mike Dick's Steakhouse. It was free. They took care of my flight and hotel, but they paid me nothing. Did the event. I thought I did fantastic. I got a review from the guy who hired me that I didn't do so well because I was talking to a group of doctors and healthcare, and I focused on my business failure in construction. I was not good to be able to tailor my message to the audience in the room, which would have been my NFL career, CTE talk, concussion talk, medical talk. So once I got that feedback and I was able to decipher how to take parts of my life to engage the audience that's hiring me or paying me, that's when I became to know as a speaker how to start to do a high quality product. So again, being the NFL athlete was not a help at all in my new venture. It was very difficult to break through that stereotype.
And that's a pretty cool story. I like how a lot of people think that's easy, and you showcase that, man, it's not easy. It took you years to get onto this to this level. I like and that one of my questions, you already answered them for me, is in speaking, you need to know your target audience, right? And that's in sales as well. I've been in sales pretty much all my life, so that's one thing that I feel that is very imperative to public speaking. It's intertwined with sales.
Mm-hmm.
With your speaking gigs, what I like to know the structure that you have. Just give a quick preview. I mean, you don't have to get into details because I know it could take like a week to show us all of this stuff.
No, it's pretty. It sometimes varies depending upon who I'm dealing with or how I'm being engaged. But I have a kind of a format that I follow. I always start with like an introduction, like a little story. I like to use Colonel Robert Gould Shaw from Glory, the first general to lead an all-black military infantry, talking about leadership. Private Desmond Doss from Hacksaw Ridge. I use him a little bit. It is kind of, I pick somebody or a story for the introduction to talk about what I'm going to talk to them about today. Then I always have like my family background, grew up with a single dad, how that affected me. Then I get into college, and then I get into the NFL. And then depending upon the client, I may focus more on the NFL side, or if it's not an NFL type of thing, I'll go into my business side next, and I'll focus on that more. If it's more motivational, I'll focus on my family life more. After that, I get into my story of going bankrupt, how that happened, what happened, things I did right, what I did wrong. And then I get into how I rebranded myself. And then I focus on some critical acronyms or different focal points, depending upon, again, the audience. Then if it's like a sales meeting, I'll talk about four great characteristics of a great salesperson. I'll get into some acronyms for SALE, like fear, false evidence appearing real. You're going to hear the word no, but to me, it stands for next opportunity. So again, I use things like that. And then from there, I get into my closing, and then I take a Q&A, and then I thank the audience. But again, it's my introduction person or topic really depends upon the client and what they're looking for, and who's in the room, to be honest.
Nice. I like that format. And within 60 seconds, you went over your whole format there. That's great. I like how you got, especially knowing your target audience and catering it to whatever target audience that you have. You're gonna, whether you have a story on the general or your NFL story. That's
right. Like for example, I've got to go do a job January 26th. For GATFAX, Georgia Association of Teachers of Family Consumer Sciences, more geared towards motivational, more geared towards getting them riled up, as teachers to go through the rest of the year. The next day, I got to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and drive back from Atlanta to Raleigh to do one for New York Life. It's their annual sales kickoff meeting. That one's going to focus more on sales, how to read clients, how to, the acronyms of sales. That's going to focus on the characteristics of a good salesperson or a good employee, things like that. So if I'm talking to entrepreneurs, the 5 keys to being a successful business owner, I have established that. And how, and all 5 I did not do, by the way, when I failed at my company. So I say, hey, if you do these 5, or do more than, more than, of course, half or more, do at least 3 to 4 out of the 5, you should be okay. So again, this depends on who's asking me to speak and, and what's going on.
Mm-hmm. So what? It's good you touched on that. Now, what are the qualities of an effective leader? Do you feel that is very crucial?
Okay, number one is you're a good listener. Number one, you're a good listener. You're able to hear people and not be able to, take, what they're saying just and throw it out the window. Number two, you have to be just very good with your team. You have to be an effective person to be able to create a good corporate environment. Absolutely necessary. You have to have great leadership skills, the ability to make everybody on your team work and feel important, even though you may not, even though they may not feel important. And the last one is you have to have a good corporate culture. Corporate culture in an office is imperative. Those are things that I did not do very well in my business near the end. I started to fall off the wagon, and I started to not pay attention to the things that were necessary in the beginning that I was doing very well. There near the end, we fell off. And it's my responsibility. So, and my tagline that's on my business card, that's on my website, it's everywhere you see my part of my brand, you'll see this tagline. I inspire people to take accountability.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's my tagline.
Inspire people to take accountability.
Yep.
Awesome. That's perfect. Now, can you, I just want to touch on that again, on what you didn't do. What went wrong in the company that made you guys?
The biggest thing, okay, well, here's this. There's 5 keys to being a successful business owner. Okay. Number 1, know your business like the back of your hand, which I did not do in construction. I learned it on the fly, then it caught up with me at the end. Number 2, if you have one, always vet your partner, which I did not do. I did not background check him in any capacity. Number 3, background or vet your employees. As we grew too quickly, which is not a good thing, exponential growth is not good. It could be more catastrophic than good. I did not stop and do reference checks, background checks. I stopped interviewing people myself. I didn't get a chance to look people eye to eye, and I just lost touch with the office structure and the field employee structure. Number 4, always be properly funded. I was not properly funded with Caden as we grew from a concrete company to a site work company. I was way underfunded. And the last one is know when to walk away. I do a lot of speaking for different NFL programs, stuff around the nation, different universities, financial literacy talks. I tell people very simply in a very layman term, never invest more than 20% of your net worth into what I call risky venture projects. A bar, real estate, restaurants, a nightclub, a gym, things that you really have no guarantee that the money's going to be coming back. If you are a conservative person, don't invest in more than 10%. And then everything else should go into mutual funds or IRAs, tax-free municipal bonds. Things are going to give you a boring 2 to 5% return, but with no taxes and guaranteed money, you'll come back. If I have an NFL player and I got $10 million after my career's over, I say everything's over, you retired, all that, and you're putting into let's say you're put into tax-free bonds, okay, at 5%. You're making $500,000 a year tax-free. Okay, you should be able to live off that. Okay, you should be able to live off that comfortably, and then never touch your principal. Problem is, what I feel, and I've been there, is when you retire from the game, you get used to what I used to like to call big check syndrome. And and when you're doing safe, boring investments, that you don't see the big checks. You don't see, check for $500,000 this month, or check for $1 million next. You don't see that. You see a check for 35, 40 grand. And if you have $10 million saved up, you made a lot of money over your career, so you're used to seeing bigger checks. So I feel personally that it's an ego thing, that guys want to feel like they're back in the big leagues and making those big checks. And again, I got $1 million check from a client for construction. Now, I probably had about 40% of costs to go out the door, trucking, all type of material, workforce, payroll, taxes. But for that 30 seconds or 6 seconds of fame, I had a check for $1.1 million in my hand. It made me remember in the NFL how big those checks were. And that's what I liked. Problem was, off the 1.1 million, I thought 40% was going out the door. In reality, almost 100% was going out the door. So I'm making no money. So I took all that risk to make no profit. So again, it's very simple in layman terms for people. I try to make them understand. When it comes to your total assets or your total net worth, learn how to what I call scalability and what I call your pain threshold, which you can and cannot endure in your doing business.
Cool. Perfect, man. That's some great business tips there and financial tips. So take a look. So you have the financial literacy podcast coming out. So you're going to be talking a lot about this type of thing.
Yes.
So you got a lot going on, Marques. How do you lead all of your, how do you manage to work all these ventures as, as MarquesOgden?
The MarquesOgden, the brand, partners strategically or works strategically with the people that can get the job done. I have a great partner in the podcast, Dominique Henderson of DJH Capital out of Dallas. He does all the work, sets all the stuff up. I come on and talk for 40 minutes a week on the interview. He uses my brand, my notoriety, my upcoming speaking, success. But he does all the work as far as the behind the scenes, the logistical. And as we start to grow and start to seek sponsors and advertisers, we'll split everything 50-50. When it comes to the brand trying to get sponsors for the Academy, I have different people in different areas that help people to get attention to people like Home Depot, USAA, JCPenney. I have a great brand building team, Heather and John Holmes, a married couple called SoFlow Unlimited out of Miami. They've done my website, which is www.ogden, O-G-D-E-N, speakingacademy.com. It just got done about 4 days ago. It is one of the best sites that I have seen as far as cognitive information that is straight and to the point and not any fluff. It's got great visual images, it's got great photos, it's got great, it's got a great setup, it's got a great layout, and that has been very helpful to get more people to sign up for what I'm doing. So again, it's all about partnering with the right people. I have a speaking agent out of Canada that I work with to help me get more speaking gigs. I have different people here locally that help me. So again, my job is to overall partner with people and make sure it gets done properly. But in each facet or each revenue stream, someone is there helping me along the way to help me break into the marketplace effectively.
Nice. Awesome. That's one thing that I wanted to ask you coming into this session, because you've got so many things going on. And at one point in my life, I had a lot of things going on, but I wasn't managing it right. And it just went downhill because I was doing everything myself, ended up getting burnt out and spreading myself too thin. So this is great stuff. So the key, the key message there is, leverage your network.
Leverage relationships. Again, the networking turns into cold hard cash. It's better to split a pie that's $100,000 than to take a whole pie for $5.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
People get caught up that I don't want to share. Well, okay, that's fine. Look at Mark Zuckerberg. He shared with Facebook. He now is worth about $40 billion, but his partners are worth $8 billion, $15 billion. Again, you never ever can, in my opinion, can get as far by yourself if you don't have a good team around you. You just can't get as far working alone. And then as you can't work with a good team. It's just that, for the hotel, we just booked the venue for the Academy. We're at the Sheraton, the downtown Sheraton, Kansas City. Beautiful 4.5-star hotel. It's amazing. Heather and John have the relationship. So they booked the venue. They did that. They got me the AV person squared away. I did the huddle event. So again, working together, we're able to book now the venue for the Academy, the AV equipment, and the venue and food for the huddle. Now we're done. Now it's on to marketing and focusing. Now we have locked in everything for the Academy. And again, if I'm trying to do it all myself, I'm calling the hotel, I'm calling the AV company, because they sent us a quote of $14,000 for AV equipment. Then it got back down to where it should be around $3,000. But again, Heather went through that process. She negotiated with the hotel for a better rate with coffee and pastries and bar and the right meeting space. Like, again, if I'm doing all that, I'm not working on my skill set, which is getting people through the door. Mm-hmm. Heather is great at the behind the scenes stuff. I'm great at talking to people, posting on social media to get attention around the brand, and then closing the deals to get people to actually sign up once they see the academy.
Right. From what I get, what I'm getting from all of this is the way you lead is through partnerships. Mm-hmm. Whereas there's a lot of associations with the word leadership, more going towards, a dictatorship, kind of a boss, things like that. But I like the way you're approaching things, and it's more of a partnership thing. So tell me your thoughts on the difference of the two, and why the other one obviously is not effective, and why yours is.
When you try to do everything yourself, and you try to be the boss of everything and don't relinquish control, you will get burnt out, and you will have it where nobody wants to work with you. If you're able to trust people and let them do their job, of course, trust them after you've seen their work, of course, and then are able to engage them. For example, I remember I was talking to Heather about this for the academy. I said, Heather, should I call up the lady from the hotel, the Sheraton, and try to get this taken care of? She's like, Marcus, look, nothing personal, but that's our relationship. You are my client. I'm working with them. Let me handle this. Don't you get involved. I said, okay, done. No problem. 2 days later, I got the contract from the Sheraton, got a great rate, got everything signed off on. It's been changed up in our sponsorship deck. It's up on our website. Boom. Again, when she told me she's got it, I backed off. I said nothing more about it until she called me and said, here's a contract, here's a proposal, here's the price of the room. Are we good to go? I looked at it. I'm like, yep. So now I've got all 3 of them paid at a price that was probably 40% lower than the first academy, because I had somebody who actually knew what the heck they were doing, negotiating for the venue and for the AV equipment. So again, by trusting Heather and her husband, I was able to save money and get a better hotel and a better setup. And I didn't have the headache of trying to go through it myself. They did it for me. And now what they do is when I start closing bigger sponsors, they get bigger commissions from the sponsorship. But it's easy to close sponsors when you know you have a venue mm-hmm. where you're going to be. And it's not the motel. I mean, the Sheraton, that hotel is one of the best in Kansas City. It's like an 88,000 square foot of meeting space in the hotel. Wow. So it's great. And again, when you have the NFL, NBA, NHL, all these people coming, you better not be at the Motel 6. You better have it into a very professional place, which we do. So the sponsorship deck looks fantastic now with the venue location, the huddle location, a picture of where we're going to actually have the academy, the room, what it looks like, how it's laid out, where the sponsors are going to be. So now it's January 12th. Today's January 13th. It was January 12th yesterday. As of the 12th of January, everything as far as logistical for the academy is booked. The last time we had it on October 27th, everything wasn't probably booked until probably like September 30th. Like we were close. We were right on the deadline. Like it was like down to the wire. And this time, everything will be paid for before we even get there. Last time we were scrambling because we had the wrong people. Heather and John didn't come into it until late. On this academy, they've been here since the beginning, and this academy is going to be a heck of a lot better.
Nice. So one last question, Marcus, and it's just a curiosity question here with your events. How are you drawing all these people to come?
The art of social media and the allure of athletes and former athletes that are actually intelligent, that actually truly want to better themselves. I have gotten so much stuff from LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. I'm posting consistently. Now with the sports leagues, more of those relationships. But like I had a call the guy yesterday, Matt Fish, former he's the 6'11" former center in the NBA for 10 years. He has the only NBA-approved publication magazine that goes out to current players, season ticket holders, executives in the front office for each team, WNBA, Harlem Globetrotters, etc. Well, he's coming. I mean, I had a lot of NFL athletes signed up, like Terry Glenn played for Patriots and the Cowboys. I have Kyle Brady. I've got David Garrard. I've got Jimmy Smith. I mean, I got all kind of great names. The corporations want to be around that. People want to be around that. But also now, because of the word of mouth and now the website, you can see for yourself how it went. So again, social media, word of mouth, and just a really good product is how we're growing so fast. And this is why the leagues are coming, because they know, okay, well, man, we're coming to Marquez Academy. They're at the Sheraton. Fantastic. I like the hotel. It'll be a great place, great venue, etc. When you eliminate when you eliminate the uncertainty in people's minds about where it's going to be, how it's going to go, the more credible you become. This is why Tony Robbins kills in this industry with this. That's why John Maxwell does. People know when they see John Maxwell, Tony Robbins, they get a high quality product. Now it's a little bit expensive, but they're both pretty damn good. Again, with us, we're kind of starting out, but already out of the gate, you already know it's going to be a high quality place. It's going to have a high quality audio visual equipment. Going to have a nice venue for the huddle. So people are now seeing, with consistency, posting, and hard work, that our brand is quality, and that's why people are starting to sign up.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for being on this session. I took a crap load of notes here, just listening to you and picking your brain, and I believe everybody else had a good chance to write down some notes. Hopefully you guys wrote down some notes, because there's a lot of gems there that you guys can take away and put into action for you guys, for yourself, for your business, for your movement, or whatever it is that you're doing. So Marques, how can we get in touch with you? I'm going to put a link down at the bottom of the session here.
So what you can do is you can go, if you're looking to come to my academy, again, it's www.ogden, O-G-D-E-N, speakingacademy.com. You'll be able to get a ticket on there, see the venue, see photos from the first one, testimonial slideshow, who the speakers are, stuff like that. You're looking to hire me or book me to speak for your company or for your next event as a business, go to my other website, which is www.marques, Ogden, OGDEN.com. I've spoken for 6 Fortune 500 brands in the last 9 months. NetApp, JP Morgan, Cisco, Siemens, First Citizens Bank, New York Life. You'll see reference letters on there. You'll see videos on there, testimonials. My price ranges vary. Corporations big corporations pay me more. If you're a small business, we can negotiate it. That just depends upon what you're looking for, the audience size, the length of the speech, and things like that. But that website, my Marquez Ogden website, will show you that not only can I have an academy, but I'm actually an accomplished speaker that's in the industry doing exactly what I say I'm doing on my academy platform.
Awesome. Perfect. I hope you enjoyed this session, guys. I'll put up some banners at the bottom of the video, so just click on those links. And if you want to get in touch with Marques, feel free, click that button, and the information will be there. So
yes,
thanks again, sir.
No problem. Talk to you later, man.
Take care.